little lower. Something about sitting here all officially makes me feel like I'm going to be in a documentary. I think it's just the TikTok trend of like the music and you sitting down all dramatically to tell. Anyway, these are my recent reads. My reading year honestly hasn't been great so far. I had a high in April. I'll put my graph up here so you can see. My high was 5 books in April, which for some people is their like low or normal. Hit a yearly low in June. I finished 2 books. Oh, because last year I stayed consistently on 3 books a month as like my lowest. So this is, it's not looking good, but it's fine. Star ratings have been pretty good, but I kind of cheat by just not giving things ratings when I don't know. So my average is 4.56. I feel like some of the things I give no rating to maybe deserved a lower rating. And I just couldn't decide. My format's still looking like majority audiobooks, which is something I want to fix. I want to be reading more physical books. I don't know, I just always have an audiobook on the go, so it's just always just kind of accidentally happens, and I don't mean it to. The women's singles is on. Anyway, my genres are very predictable. Science fiction is in the lead. It's mainly because I've been doing a big Murderbot reread, so it kind of has been padding the numbers a little bit. Any new additions to things since my last check-in? No, I don't think so. So, books. In the beginning of the year, I read Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. So, my library also had The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, and I thought that would be great because I really enjoyed the first one. I did not like the second one as much. And I think my problem was that I liked the first book so much that I wanted this book to just be more of the same. And it was, but not in spirit, I feel like. What I liked about Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency was this like way that the universe works in like weird and wacky ways, and Dirk sort of like moving through it in a holistic way. And it's all like kooky and mysterious. But it also very much solidly feels like science fiction to me, at least, even though there's like ghosts and stuff, but it all feels like on the sci-fi side. And then what this book does is it introduces the Norse gods, and that's just not my thing. And I think if I had have known it was about that, I probably wouldn't have picked up this book at all, just because it doesn't really interest me, and I feel like we're then leaning into like the gods and then more of a fantasy side, and that's just sort of not the genre I was feeling like, and not the genre I feel like Dirk belongs in, even though I'm not the author and I can't say what Dirk belongs in. I just really liked Dirk in this like whole like kooky space sort of weird universe thing, and not like gods. And I think my problem with the gods as well is that I associate it with Marvel, and that's my main like point of knowing the gods, which I think is different than a lot of like the Percy Jackson kids. So maybe it's like a different viewpoint that I have with it. So I'm not into it. I'm not into the gods being there at all. The way the story pieces together is all very similar and satisfying. I liked it. We have like a new character. She comes in and then like a mysterious event happens to her. We're following her, we're following someone else, we're following Dirk, and then all the pieces start to like line up. But even at the end, like at least in the first book, I had like it felt like we solved the case. Whereas this one, it sort of just, I didn't feel like we solved anything. I know we did, and this isn't a spoiler, it's just that, I just felt a little unsatisfied with the way it concluded, that's all. And we have Dirk as a returning character, which is great, but I just sort of miss everyone else. So I was missing Richard, and I kind of was hoping that he was there. And he wasn't. I then read The Tapestry of Fate. This is the sequel to The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi. This was so good. I had high expectations for this book. I adored the first book. I really liked the sort of not cliffhanger ending. We sort of had like an ending where it was open to more adventures, and this really delivered on that aspect of it. I just feel like the series does everything right. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi is about this pirate captain who's retired, and she like is going on one more mission and has to gather her whole crew, and then they're ending up in these like mysterious folklore situations. It's really good. This book just delivers on more of that, which was so much fun. There's more mysterious islands. The sailing is more dangerous, I feel like, this time. We also got to see more pirate stuff, which I really love. And then the crew was expanded on a little bit. We really focused on Dahlia as one of the crew members and her relationship with Amina, and that was really lovely. I did kind of miss the rest of the crew because they sort of like melted into the background for like maybe the whole, I'd say probably the last half of the book, maybe even more. But I did really enjoy it. I just feel like the rest of the crew bring an energy of lightness to the whole dynamic, and without them you kind of felt the absence of that. But that's kind of on purpose, but I did miss the jokes. The jokes are there in the beginning, so it's fine. The whole folklore aspect to this was just top notch. It's done so well. I love how these books feel so grounded in like the magic of the world. Like, this is a historical sort of fantasy, so this is real places. Some of the places are real, some are made up, but we're in a specific timeline, and it all just feels like things that could have really happened, and I love that. Also, the writing style really emphasizes that as well, because this is transcribed from someone, so this is Amina telling her story to someone, and we're reading that or listening to it. The audiobooks are really good. I listened to the first one, but I read the second one. In the first book, it very much feels like they're chasing something down, and in this book, they are chasing something down, but then they sort of end up in a situation where things are now, they're at the mercy of someone else, and it's just so good. I will say there are interludes in this book, and I really struggled with them. I really don't like being taken out of the main story and the main plot. I find them difficult to get into. Once I was reading them, I was fine. But it did very much feel like something I had to like push through in the beginning. But it all did click into place, and it was very satisfying, and I'm glad the interludes were there. But I just, yeah, for me, it was very much like, it felt like an ad break. Which feels so bad, because I really loved the book, but I loved the book so much that then we'd swap to something else and I'd be like, oh, okay, I guess I miss Amina, but whatever. If you finish the Tapestry of Fate and want to know my like spoiler opinions about the book, then I have a full like spoiler talk video about it up here. I then read another new release, The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda. This is from the author who wrote the Greenbone saga, which I never finished. But I really wanted to give this a try because it was a standalone, so I felt like I stood a better chance. I stopped the middle book of the Greenbone saga, and I left it too long. There was too much politics, so I couldn't, every time I tried to start reading it again from where I was, I just didn't know what was happening. I stopped at a really awkward place where it's like some like council meeting or something, so I just didn't know what was going on. I will say what I didn't like about the Greenbone saga is what I think I liked about The Last Contract of Isako. I really loved this whole like political movings and all these business decisions, and we're seeing it from a different perspective. So with the Greenbone saga, we're watching like the family of this big empire, and then in The Last Contract of Isako, we're seeing it from like the right-hand man's perspective. So we're following the A tier, who is sort of, my problem with this book is I don't know how to explain it. I don't really know. I finished the book. I still don't really understand how the world works. But the A tiers are working for the big businessmen in these big companies, and we're on a terraform planet. They're under this dome, and it feels like all the different companies are sort of working as like these separate factions, almost like they're operating as like separate countries, and different people are ruling these different factions. So the A tiers are working for the heads of these companies, and they're all fighting for different things and resources and stuff, and it's all very like shifty and secrets. And then because we're viewing it from this like side person, we're sort of not finding things out. We're not in the know about really anything, and we're uncovering all this stuff. I say right-hand men, they're also kind of basically bodyguards. They're doing a lot. They're doing way too much. They're like personal assistants, but also bodyguards, but also if you want to fire someone and you go off and you kill that person for them, it's too much, in my opinion. I wouldn't be doing it, but we're following Isako, who is an A tier, and I confess, I don't really like her that much. I don't know what it is, I just really couldn't get into her point of view, and I really struggled with her as a person. She's very like old school and closed off. She's got like the vibe of like, I've been in this game a long time, that kind of thing. Like, she's famous for her position, and I couldn't connect with her at all, and I really struggled with her whole point of view up until we met an old friend of hers, Hobb, and I feel like for me, Hobb sort of saved the book, because Hobb contextualize, I think, a lot of the stuff that was going on. I feel like it made me see Isako as like a real person than before. I don't really know why I wasn't seeing her as a real person. She just kind of felt like a bit mythy. And then we have a bit of a shift in the story from the halfway point onwards, and I loved it. I was really into it. I thought it was a great book. I was having a great time. Everything started to click into place. I feel like, at least to the best of my ability, about what was going on and who owned what. Personally, I hated the ending. Hated it. I was left with this like empty feeling, and I don't really want that in my books, unless it's like a literary fiction book. I feel like that's more acceptable, but for genre fiction, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. The book was too long for me to feel like that at the end. I feel like they sort of just pulled the rug out from under me and was like, haha, tricked you, got you. I just felt a little deflated, I think. Yeah, and that's all I can say about it. If you want to know my like spoiler video things about that, I also have a video on this. You can watch that if you want. Only if you finish the book though, dear God. Another book I also have a video on, sorry this is the theme, is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I started the Farseer trilogy and I adored it. I thought this was so good. This is like classic old school fantasy, and it's just so good. I cannot believe it's taken me this long to read these books. I loved them so much. I say them, I've only read the first one. I've read like the first like 2 pages of the second one. So I'm saying them. I went into Assassin's Apprentice knowing literally nothing, to the point where when when it looked like he was gonna be the apprentice to the assassin, I was kind of like shocked. And I think I just forgot what the book was called. I think if you haven't read this book, you don't need to know anything before going in, so I just won't tell you, but I will tell you, it's good. I feel like if you like Game of Thrones and you like that kind of style of writing, you'll really like this. This is from one point of view though, the whole way through. We're following Fitz as he grows up, so this is him as like a child, but it's not a young adult book at all. Do I find Fitz annoying? A little bit. Just because he's 15, I think. That's all it is. Sometimes Fitz will do things and I'm like, oh my god, stop it. Setting wise, it really makes me think of The Witcher. Was it because I was playing The Witcher while I was also reading these books? Maybe. But I feel like they mesh together really well. I also love to guess, so for me this book was really fun because there's a lot of like little clues going on, and then obviously this is like part of some bigger world, so we have characters that are doing things and that hasn't been answered, so I'm looking forward to the next books to find out what's going on with the Fool. So yeah, I just really like a guess, and I'm now I have this awful embarrassing thing of having a reading vlog of it, so all of my guesses that are completely wrong are just there, and I can't change it. So when I read the following books, we'll find out if I'm right about The Fool or not, but we'll see, I guess. I then continued my 90s fantasy kick by reading Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett. This was so good. This is kind of the sequel to Guards Guards. Terry Pratchett's, if you don't know Terry Pratchett, he writes in the Discworld and has like 40 something books, and they're released in chronological order and follow different people, but then you can also follow like different strands of storylines. So this is the like City Watch storyline. So we've got Guards, Men at Arms, other ones, The Night Watch, Feet of Clay, I think is in that. I don't really know, I haven't got that far yet. So we've got, you know, the guards, the witches, death, so we have these different storylines. I'm physically reading the guards ones and they're so good. I find these books delightful. It's hard to think that it's technically in the same genre as The Assassin's Apprentice because it's so different. This is all just like slapstick nonsense and like weird city pun jokes and references to like niche things like Casablanca. Like it's all just silly nonsense and I love it so much. So in this book the City Watch is expanding and they need to do some diversity hiring. So they hire a troll, a dwarf and a woman to sort of round out their team, and then because it's Terry Pratchett then he gets to make some like silly fun jabs about different groups of people and their disagreements within the city. Like the trolls don't like the dwarfs and there's all these like interspecies rivalries that are happening, and then murders are happening in the city, so they're trying to investigate that but as the City Watch. And the City Watch, if you don't know, isn't the best at things, but they get it done. Like all Terry Pratchett books, it was just a lot of fun. I will continue to read these as long as I can get my hands on them. And while I've been reading all those books, in the background, I've been listening to all the Murderbot Diaries again, in anticipation for Platform Decay. So I re-listened to a bunch of Murderbot Diaries books and then properly listened to the first time, Platform Decay, and then reread it as soon as I finished it. Like every other book I've mentioned, I also did a video on that. But the spoiler-free version is that this is the newest Murderbot Diaries book. We are going into this planet as sort of like a hostage rescue situation, and it's just standard Murderbot. I liked it. It is not my favorite, mainly because it doesn't have many of my favorite side characters or places. We're in a new location. Murderbot's like sort of on its own. I think I just have really high expectations for Murderbot now, and this book was good. It just wasn't better than the last. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And I feel bad for that because I genuinely did really like it. And a Murderbot book that I didn't love is still better than most other books. So I'm not really like saying anything negative about it. It just wasn't like amazing. I also struggled a bit with the narration of this book. Murderbot's consistently very frustrated at the location a lot in this book. And I didn't like it. Something about the way Murderbot was complaining about the place, it felt like it was shouting at me. And I don't really know why I felt like that in this book and not other books. It may be just a slight different tone. That only happened like a couple of times, so it wasn't really impacting like how I felt about the book overall. It was just something that I noted that felt different for me in this book than like some of the other books. So yeah, the star of Platform Decay, I think, this isn't really spoilers, but if you wanted to go into Platform Decay knowing nothing, this is slightly mild spoilers, but 3 is the best part of this book. 3 isn't in it much. 3 only really pops up every so often, but every bit that 3 was in was really good. Just the whole idea of 3 doing something wrong and being like, maybe this could be a wee problem, and Murderbot being like, no, you have to deal with your own problems now, Free. You make your own decisions, you deal with your own consequences. And yeah, I really like 3. I love 3 so much. I love the direction that we're going with 3 as well. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm excited for the next books. Ooh, that's also what my thing is with this book, is that I've heard I think I'd already started the book. I can't remember. I'd either hadn't started it yet or just started it. And I heard that Martha Wells wasn't planning on doing many more Murderbot books. So I think that's maybe what made me view it a little bit differently than the other books, because I was feeling like we weren't going to get many more. So the fact that I knew we were running out of like book space, it was sort of like, okay, but what about this storyline? What about this? What about this person? What about this thing? And I sort of, the more we were not doing those things, I was getting like a little bit like a frantic, like, whoa, but where's art? I have some DNFs. I'm going to put them here. I'm not going to talk about them really because I don't think I read any of them enough to warrant talking about them. All of these I just sort of started and then thought, nah, actually, I don't care about this enough to keep reading. And that's mostly because I think all of these are library books, so I can afford to just sort of like pick them up and drop them as I please. So yeah, I read one page of Dungeon Crawler Carl as well, and then I forgot about it because it was on my phone and it got returned to my library. So maybe I'll read that one day. Today's not the day. It's not even marked as an official DNF because I didn't even have time to like log it in anything. So yeah, it's everything. I have videos on almost all of those books in full spoilers if you want to hear my thoughts about them. If you've read any of these books, I would love to know what you thought. Do you agree with me? Do you not? And I think we're going to be in a stronger next bit of the year. I feel like I'm on a roll now. So hopefully I'll read more. I don't even know if I'm going to meet my reading goal. I don't even know what my reading goal is. Maybe like it might be 40 books or something quite small. Yeah, we're halfway through the year. I've read 19 books. I'll probably meet 40. I'd like to read 50 just because in my head that sounds better. But if I don't, it's okay. That's it. I'm gonna go watch the tennis now. It's Coco Golf and I've missed probably the first set. So yeah, okay. Bye!